Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Chess, and this is our first episode of SCP series that I will call it Racer. Um, Random SCP review. Basically, we will review every SCP that has ever existed. By every, I mean we will eventually get lots of SCPs to be discussed, right? And the way I want to do it is using the RNG random number generator from from Google. So every time I have this episode, whenever I want to record this, I will show you the process of the RNG. I will use that, and let's see what number we will get, right? And then we will go to this SCP wiki over here, and we will review the SCP, and that's about it. It's that simple basically. And to start off the episode, I will use this opportunity to pick the first SCP ever, um, which is SCP-173, right? This SCP, I believe, has been in our hearts. It's been in our hearts and it's been in our memory since the first SCP has ever been created, right? It's like the original stuff, right? By the original, I mean it's like literally the first SCP that ever existed, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, if but under the name of SCP-170, I believe this is like the first SCP. Although I also believe that the concept of these weird, quote unquote, weird creatures or anomalies and stuff like that, the crazy idea of SCP has been probably has been thought since way before SCP-173 has had been created. Way longer, maybe before the year 2000. What I meant to say is that maybe before that, like all time ago, like some people from the community has been um thinking about the idea of anomalous stuff, right? And but they haven't really had the chance to make it into something, right? And until then, until the SCP-173 showed up for the first time, then people start recreating their memories of their old thoughts about these kind of anomalies, right? And therefore technically those are the first ones, not the SCP-173, but by what is it, like by uh contextual, I don't know what the word is to say over here, like like read a book when you read a book, the first page, right, is basically SCP-173. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, well, maybe SCP-173 is not even the first SCP. Who knows, right? I mean, you guys know, and I don't know. So yeah, but when I got asked a question about what is the first SCP that well, I will simply answer SCP-173 because from the game, right? And we'll talk about the game later in this episode. But yeah, anyway, that's the idea of this. The whole series about SCP. I will call it the Racer. RSR basically. So you pronounce it Racer, Random SCP Review. Um, and that's about it. I don't think anyone has used that just yet. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of videos on YouTube talking about SCP, right? I just want to make like what would be the series called, right? From my own channel, right? And yeah, that's about it. Basically, I will, every episode I will throw a dice, basically, using the RNG and see which number we will land. And that will be our SCP, and I will go through wiki and we'll read about that and discuss about it. But until then, let's go to the review of SCP-173. Um, as you can see over here as well, there is no image of it, right? Why? Because yeah, we will talk about that again later in this episode. Anyway, SCP-173, item number SCP-173, rating plus 7905 as of I'm recording this. Object class Euclid. Euclid, if I remember correctly, is when an SCP that is not fully it's not fully understood, not it's a type of SCP that is not fully understood just yet. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, it's not considered as safe. It's not also Keter, the dangerous SCP, I would say, right? The one that will have big impact, and most of them will be deadly, right? And yeah, so this one is like Euclid. I would say it's kind of in the middle of safe and Keter or Keter. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I will read Keter, basically like Keter. And yeah, so I would say Euclid is like in the middle, as in, it could be safe, it could also be Keter, right? And therefore, it's kind of in the middle, which we don't really understand just yet, right? How it, how its nature, right? Therefore, it's called Euclid. It's like Euclidean plane, Euclidean stuff, and stuff like that, right? It's something that we don't fully understand just yet. So yeah, that's the object class of SCP-173. Special Containment Procedures, or SCP. Again, it's also quite unique for me. It's quite fun knowing that the SCP in SCP Foundation stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, but also Special Containment Procedures, also short of SCP as well. If you short this, right? Yeah, there's that. There's like two abbreviate for SCP basically. Item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be relocked behind them. At all times, two persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked the container. Okay, so first SCP-173 will be in a room, right? Basically, it will be locked in container. The container can be room, can be whatever, right? It doesn't specify how big the container is, but I assume there's like space, right? So it can move around potentially, right? Um, and then when people had to enter the SCP-173 container, like for research, for cleaning, for maintaining, like what is it called, like maintenance and stuff, repairing the container as well. Since we don't know the origin of SCP-173, right? Like, can it actually break the container, right? We don't fully understand about that just yet. So yeah, maybe you guys know, maybe I'm the only one that don't know about that, but the potential is there, right? The probability is there, and um and yeah, and when people enter no fewer than 3, it means that there should always at least 3 people, right? 2 for looking at it, and the third one to do whatever they need to do, right? And yeah, let's go to description first. Also it's very fun to see the how to contain it first rather than knowing what the description first, right? It just shows how important it is to to contain the SCP rather than to know what the SCP first, right? And yeah, I just like the idea. Description: moved to Site 19, 1993. Okay. Origin is as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. That's very violent. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Alright? Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Origin of these materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. Okay, so that's a lot of information to digest, right? So yeah, that's basically it. Licensing or citation, none. Maybe there is. Okay. Well, yeah, there's that. We'll also talk about that later if we actually have time, since we need to talk about a lot of stuff as well. Okay, so the description, it's moved to site 19, but what is site 19? I personally don't know. I forgot what it was. But yeah, it's moved there now. In 1993, also apparently. Origin is not known, is unknown. So yeah, we don't know just yet where it came from, what its purpose, and what it's actually doing right now, right? Like what's its purpose for uh being existed in the first place, right? And that's still to be discussed until now. Excuse me, I just took a drink because I was very thirsty. I haven't drank just yet. Um, okay, so it is constructed from concrete and rebar. Okay. Um, we also, we are also not shown about the structure of the thing, right? So it's to be imagined, right? To be imagined by you guys, by me as well, because there is no image of it anymore, right? And again, we'll talk about that in a second. Um, Okay, so it's from concrete and rebar. So rebar is like a bar of steel, if I remember correctly. It's for construction, right? And then maybe it's like yeah, it's basically a concrete, right? And then traces of Krylon brand spray paint. So imagine concrete building, right? Like a statue or something like that, and then there is also a paint on it, so it's not like a solid color, right? It there's like some kind of spray paint as well on it. And yeah, SCP-173 animate and hostile. So by animate, I mean it can move, right? It can animate, excuse me, it can animate itself, right? So it can move, it can go anywhere, and it's very hostile apparently. The object cannot move while in line of sight. So if we look at that, if you look at the SCP, it will simply not move, right? Why? Don't know. How? Don't know as well. Um, Also, there's a lot of question about this, right? What if it's CCTV? What if it's like animals that's looking on it, and stuff like that. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Okay, so yeah, again, so this will be the weakness of the SCP, right? The SCP-173. Or the sculpture, I believe. Unfortunately, there is not really a title of what this SCP is. Next time when we do this, I will make sure we go to this one over here, the list of SCP, so that we actually know what the title of the SCP is. because this one is called the sculpture, if I remember correctly, and it's not shown over here. So yeah, there's that. And then yeah, line must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Okay, we know that. Are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Okay, so because blinking means not seeing it, right? Therefore, it can start becoming animate and very hostile, right? And apparently it will attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. Okay, I know you guys cannot see this, but I'm actually holding my neck right now, and kind of imagine how it feels to be snapped at the neck, or by getting strangled, right? That's just horrible, right? Can only imagine, there will be lots of blood basically, right? Got splattered around, very gore, very graphic violence, right? And yeah, um in the attack, uh, are to observe class 4 procedure. What is class 4 procedure? I also don't know. Maybe I know, but I forgot. Personal reports sound of scraping from within container when no one is inside. Okay, so when no one is watching, inside the container it's still moving, right? Basically because of the scraping sound. It's like 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 imagine there is a big statue of made of stone, or like cement or stuff like that, and you try to move it, right? It will create sound, right, within, because of the friction of the sculpture and the floor, right, basically. And yeah, that creates scraping sound basically, and that is considered normal. And what is not normal if this behavior is changed. So apparently over here, if there's a change of behavior, it should be reported, right, to the acting HMCL. I also don't know that. So okay, so I don't know what site 19 is. I don't know what class 4 procedures is. I also don't know what HMCL supervisor is as well. Okay, there's also red brown substance on the floor every now and then, apparently. And this is supposedly to be feces and blood. So we know that it's living, right? It lives, basically. Um, it leaves a spot of feces and blood. So yeah, the origin of material is also unknown. I mean, that also makes sense, right? It need to be cleaned every bi-weekly basis, right? And yeah, like it makes sense, right? Because if it leaves a trace of feces and blood, surely it shouldn't be like forever, right? It means like I'm as for your information, I studied in chemical engineering, and we know that a material cannot be continuously produced by in itself. It means that mass is constant. If it's reduced because of because it leaves feces and blood, it means that it leaves it reduced from its own mass, right, from its own sculpture. Therefore, you know like eventually the sculpture will shrink and become small and disappear, right, because it always exit the feces and blood. But this is SCP. None of those stuff is not always the case over here, because anything can happen basically. And the origin is also still unknown. Is it because of the scraping, like the scraping, like its feet basically um bleeding because of the scraping, then it leaves blood, I don't know, right? And then the feces as well, is it actually feces, or it's the rebar getting corroded over time, right? Therefore it just melt into a cube of iron, or steel and stuff like that, maybe, right? But apparently this is feces. So when it's said uh, over here, it means that it is what it is literally. So this is actual feces, then it's not actually a melted melted iron or steel because of corrosion. Yeah, there's that. And yeah, that's about it about SCP-173. Now we're gonna talk about the image, right? And then the game as well. So we know this the first time. Well, I know this the first time from the game, which Markiplier made like way back before 2000. Well, actually, I think it's in 2014, right? And I only know that until his recent playthrough on 2019 or 2020 basically, where he played the new SCP game, right? And there I learned about SCP-173, and then I looked back to his old videos, and then after that I learned about the SCP universe in general. And yeah, that's about the game, right? And then now we'll talk about the image in itself. So apparently, the original image of SCP-173 was taken from someone else's original art, right? And that becomes a problem nowadays because of copyright and stuff. And the owner of the image, I think what it's called was my file becoming okay, so we need to make this video very quick now. The original creator of the art of the sculpture didn't intend their creation to be put into SCP, right? And therefore that caused a lot of trouble in itself. And the original creator had been very nice to the community, as of I'm if I like what I know from what I know basically. They allow this to be featured in the SCP as long as it's not milk into money, right? As long as it's not abusively used to make money, right? Like basically the game, right? And then therefore after that the game came out, right? Maybe they were not happy because of it, because the asset of the game used basically it revolved around the original image, right? And maybe that caused the creator to be not happy in general because of that. And yeah, there's that. The original creator, I believe, have not asked for the image to be taken down. I believe it's the initiative of this whole SCP staff, basically, like the original people staff, not original but by real people in the world, that's doing this type of stuff, right? And they basically says that you know what, let's just take down the image before it actually create lots of violation of copyright stuff, right? And yeah, that's about it. And as of February, if I remember, it's been taken down like until undetermined amount of time, right? Maybe forever. And I also believe that there will be no new image that will be put here, because I also believe that, if I remember, the reason why is because it will be left to our interpretation of the SCP, right? Like how we're going to how we'll be imagining the stuff, right? So SCP-173 over here, so it's basically a statue or a sculpture, and then it's constructed of concrete, and it has rebar, and then it has paint in itself, right? And then it's also animate and hostile. So you can always think of it like human-sized sculpture, but it's made from concrete, right? And stuff like that. So like it's basically become an open end. It's left to the audience, basically, whoever read this or whoever watching this video, which is you guys. You guys will interpret whatever the creature will look like, right? And yeah, because of that, therefore the image has been taken down since then, which is unfortunate if you ask me, but for the good cause, right? I mean, again, um when whoever created this page, I think, uh you know didn't mean to steal the art as well. They just want a reference of that, right? And also the maker, the creator of the art also didn't want, didn't intend their creation to be put into something big, right? And it happened, and they just basically talk, yeah, you can use it, but just don't monetize it or whatsoever, right? And of course that's not something that we all can handle, right? Because again, there's also game, there's also like arts everywhere that will end up being monetized, right? Like yeah, there's that. Therefore, stuff happen, right? And then it becomes ugly because they basically don't ask permission, maybe probably from the original creator of the art. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, anyhow, whatsoever the drama was, we're not here for that. We're here to have fun, learning about SCP Wiki in general, right? And I will start doing that. It's for the community as well. Like publicity, basically. Like maybe some of you guys don't know what SCP is. Then watching this will know what SCP is. Then, but yeah. Anyway, that will be it for our first episode of SCP, random SCP review or Racer. I hope you guys enjoy it. Our first one is the Sculpture Original or SCP-173. Next time we'll do the RNG, randomly, and therefore the Racer series, right? But yeah, until that, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again in the next episode of Racer, and see ya.